Hello, my name's Chad Brumbaugh, and I'm here to present for Kelly Fox and Gina Rabel on BlackBerry Limited, the strategic path forward. The strategic plan for BlackBerry. We're going to talk about the company, give them an introduction, some external and internal analysis, develop some of their key challenges in depth, along with some recommendations. The current situation for BlackBerry. Where they began. 1985, the company was founded by Mike Lazardas and Douglas Fragan. They began in Canada, and they currently still reside there. They originally were known as Research in Motion, and they really had a meteoric rise in the wireless industry. They went public in 1997, and they were the first company to launch a device with call-making capabilities. And then up until 2007, BlackBerry focused much of their efforts on creating products for business users. They became an industry leader, though, through innovation and development of new products that continually wowed the customer. And when people thought about mobile, they thought about BlackBerry. And their shares peaked at $148 a share in 2008. Unfortunately, this is when things began to come apart for them. They had an all-time market share of 41% in 2010. The fall of BlackBerry, it really started with not recognizing the connection, as one consumer insider put it. Hey, we asked you for big screens, touch screens, and more of the candy bar styles. And unfortunately, the competition delivered this. Mobile phones began to be viewed as fashion accessories for devices. And the direct reflection of that feeling in society and what these devices have to say about each person. And we're going to talk more about BlackBerry and how they can get back to relevance later. Moving forward, part of their new business model platform is going to be a software supplier. So let's begin with some external analysis. So the general environment, the handset market is a very competitive economic situation. Mobile phones are increasingly become an integral part of users' lives. Yet the software solutions offered by these devices and their operating systems are often the decision points consumers use to choose which device is theirs. The personalization of these devices will continue to grow as a leverage point, and the device makers are going to use this leverage point to bring consumers to their brand. People may forget their keys, but they rarely forget their phone these days. And consumers are now making their phone of choice part of identifying who they are. The technology industry is advancing at an extremely fast pace. And the rapidly changing technology in these operating systems and applications are going to be a key differentiator in the future. The increasing Chinese middle class and India's import of these devices are going to be some real emerging markets and offer growth in the handset devices. But how the companies deal with this rapidly changing technology industry will be the real differentiator. And they must address these needs as not only as a cellular product, but as entertainment. The recent usage of an Apple product by a terrorist in the U.S. has brought phone security back into the public eye. The history of BlackBerry as a secure device is likely to provide opportunities for BlackBerry moving forward, especially as the FBI was successful in cracking the iPhone code. As technology becomes more complex, hackers are going to find ways to access this data. BlackBerry really is in a catbird seat as this is one of their core competencies. But with the growing number of connected devices expected to continue to explode to more than 9.3 billion over the next few years, the demographics for age, gender, and ethnicity are becoming less relevant in the handset space. And regardless of any of these variables, 64% of the adults in the U.S. currently own a smartphone. smartphone, and reliance on the smartphone as an exclusive internet access point is growing, as 10 to 15% in the United States currently have limited options other than their smartphone for accessing the internet. As wireless data speeds increase, these ratios are also going to expected to increase. Recent environmental studies have represented concerns for smartphone production and usage and the impact it's having on the environment. Users are wanting new technology and they want to replace their phone every 1 or 2 years. But this is going to take its toll. The researchers at the University of Surrey found that the current industry model in the way people are replacing their phones are not driving users to return their phones to providers. Many of them are just sitting in drawers or ending up in a landfill. And there's very valuable resources go into producing these phones. And this ecological impact and how it's going to affect the bottom line of these suppliers is going to be an important question that will need to be answered as we move forward. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the bargaining power of buyers in the industry analysis. The bargaining power of buyers in the smart device platform is very high because differentiation between products is reasonably low. Additionally, there are far more buyers than sellers, and these switching costs from one device to another is also very low, especially as carriers are often willing to buy the device outright in exchange for their switching to their service. As an example, AT&T is currently offering up to $650 per line to offset these switching costs. So the industry really favors the buyer because devices work between these brands oftentimes and carriers in a seamless fashion. So switching costs are going to continue to decrease as the products become more usable between carriers. The bargaining power of suppliers is really low. And this comes down to the fact that smartphone manufacturers, they have many options. If they have quality or pricing issues with a certain supplier, it's easy to go and switch. Batteries, SIM cards, smart chips. There are a limited number of manufacturers, but some smartphone manufacturers, they're beginning to be really creative in manufacturing many of their own components and making them less dependent upon outside suppliers. For example, Samsung, they have been able to keep their material costs very low for years thanks to the ability to manufacture their own displays. The threat of new entrants in the industry is also very low. BlackBerry has really had a challenge in this part of the industry in developing their smartphone and getting pushed out by some new technologically devices. If a new device maker wants to come into the industry today, they would really need to get connected into a saturated distribution channel, and they're going to compete against a device maker with a lot of loyal fans. Substitute products. This is growing. Although the threat of substitute products has traditionally been very low, that is beginning to change. The increasing popularity of tablets and Wi-Fi available at a lot of places is giving consumers other options. Video chat such as Microsoft Skype and Google Hangouts, the usage of that is on the rise. A research firm has even predicted by 2018 that more than 20% of the largest 500 businesses in the world, 500 largest businesses in the world, will use video chat to facilitate customer-facing interactions. How this is going to change the market and how the handset users are able to respond to this is also still to be determined. Interfirm rivalry is very high. Sustaining a competitive advantage in the mobile industry is very difficult. And as we talked about earlier, consumers have most of the bargaining power. The two industrial giants, Apple and Samsung, as shown here, they develop their power in the industry with technological prowess and new features offered every year. While there will always be folks who are fiercely loyal, many consumers have proven to be somewhat fickle when it comes to having the latest technology in their handsets. Looking for the latest options in smartphone technology, the consumers can reasonably easily switch between products, as we talked about earlier. Apple and Samsung have shown in releasing their products very strategically that they're able to pull users from the competition. The development of new application and features have been very strong, and expect this to continually drive the rivalry to higher levels between the industrial giants. Now we're going to go into competitor analysis.